Well, I'm now joined by former intelligence and security officer Philip Ingram. And Philip, good to have you here with us just to go through things and unpick what's going on. Just bring us up to date with the latest situation then with the tanks, because we know that the UK is supplying 14 of its Challenger 2 tanks.
Yes, day 332 of Vladimir Putin's 10-day special military operation. And as Deborah Haynes said, the discussions at Ramstein, this meeting of 50 countries discussing equipment going to Ukraine, all centred around the Leopard 2 tank. This German tank, about 2,000 of them across Europe, in a large number of different countries. And countries are offering it, but they need to get Germany's permission to send it. And then there's calls for Germany to send some of their stocks that they've got just sitting around. Germany hasn't said no. They've said they need some more time to make a decision. And some countries have already started training Ukrainian crews on the tanks because it's very different to the tanks that the Ukrainians are used to operating. You mentioned that UK has decided to send 14 Challenger 2 tanks, a very, very capable tank. That's a complete squadron, and there'll be other supporting armoured vehicles on the Challenger chassis with that. And that will give them, combined with the US Bradley infantry fighting vehicle, which we see here, and the AS-90 guns that have been given, the Ukrainians have a capability to have a real punch into the Russians, but they need more to be able to exploit that and take it even further.
And what's the current state then on the ground?
Well, on the ground, I think part of that's playing into the decision-making around with equipment bits and pieces. The Ukrainians are having some success in Crimea, in the northeast there, and making some small advances, but heavy fighting going on. There's also been some build-up down in Zaporizhia, down in the south, on both sides, and we're watching to see what happens there. But as it has been for weeks, in fact, for over 6 months now, everything is around Bakhmut. The Russians have been trying to capture Bakhmut for a good 6 months. Last week, they finished capturing the little village to the north of Solidar with the salt mines in it. There's been some reports that they've captured some of the outlying areas of Bakhmut to the south as they try and encircle the city and then use that as a stepping stone to get through the rest of the Donetsk region. But the Ukrainians are fixing them in place. They're holding them there, and they're causing the Russians to stall. That allows the Ukrainians potentially to take some of their better troops, send them off into the west to get trained on all of this equipment that's being donated.
Well, staying in Bakhmut then, one of the main military presence there around at the moment is the Russian mercenary group. This is the Wagner group. There has been some tensions there. Just enlighten us on what's going on there.
Real tensions. And most of the fighting, as you said, in Bakhmut has been through this Wagner group, headed by Prigozhin. Prigozhin is a personal friend of Vladimir Putin, so he's got a direct line into Moscow and into Putin, which bypasses the military chain of command. But he's also very critical, not just of some of the political decisions made by Defence Ministry and all the rest of it, but of the commander on the ground. So Gerasimov, who's just been appointed as the commander on the ground for the whole of Ukraine, Prigozhin sees him operating outside his area of influence. He was put in to try and bring the Wagner group together. Wagner have sourced some of their equipment from North Korea. The Americans have just released that, and that is looking at additional sanctions, and Wagner themselves have just been declared an international criminal organisation. But if you've got two military groups not operating to a single chain of command, that causes real problems in any war-fighting situation.
Philip, thank you very much indeed for that update. Philip Ingram there.